In a manner similar to controller scripting, MaxScript has facilities for manipulating the modifier stack that reflect the kinds of things you can do in the Modify panel. You can add and delete, copy and paste modifiers, set their parameters, manipulate modifier subobjects, collapse the stack, and so on. As with other Max objects, you create modifiers with a class constructor. All the built-in modifier classes are listed in the MaxScript help in the topic Modifier and Spacewarp modifier types, as you can see here. And each modifier class has a page showing its properties and creation parameters, such as this one for bend. Okay, let's create a new bend modifier, angle 45 degrees, direction 90 degrees, and capture it into a variable b. And then I can add it to an object with the add modifier function. And here it is in the stack. Okay, now let's add a twist modifier, using a modifier constructor directly as a parameter to add modifier. Each time I call add modifier, it adds the new modifier to the top of the object stack. You can get at existing modifiers on an object in a couple of ways. Most simply, if all the modifiers are uniquely named, as in this case, they can be accessed directly as properties on the object, like this. So to adjust the bend modifier, I could do something like this, increasing the angle property of the bend modifier on box 01 by 20 degrees. Most modifier parameters are animatable, of course, and you can animate them with scripts in the ways we've seen so far. Here's a simple example. I have a scene with a tall column and a ball flying about it. I want to animate the column so that its top bends about and follows the flight of the ball. Here's the script, which I'll run first. And now you can see that the column is bending about and following the flight of the ball. The script adds a bend modifier to the column object and animates its bend angle and direction parameters. So let's look at the script more closely. This is a typical keyframing loop inside an animate on context, looping variable t over time in 5 frame steps. The body contains some linear algebra and trigonometry to figure the bend angles to apply to the modifier. First, it subtracts the ball position at the current loop time from the column position to get a direction vector in the local variable dv. It then uses the built-in trig function atan2 to get the bend angle from the z and x components of the delta vector, and again to get the direction angle from the y and x components. The derived angle and direction are being assigned directly to the angle and direction properties in the bend modifier in the column object. Actually, the bend angle calculation is a pretty crude estimate of the tracking angle and only works for fairly small angles in the positive x octants. I'll leave the development of the full math for getting the bend tangent at the top of the column pointing to the target ball as an exercise for you. In addition to accessing modifiers as direct properties on an object, you can get at them through the dot modifiers property, which yields a virtual array of the current modifiers on an object. For example, this gives me an array containing all 3 modifiers on box 01. You can loop over this array to work on all the modifiers on an object, or get its dot count property to see how many modifiers there are, or index into it either by name, which is equivalent to direct property access, or by number, counting from the top. So I could do this, for example, to loop over all the modifiers in box 01 and print their names. Or something like this to work on the top modifier on the stack. Here I'm accessing the angle property on the first or top modifier on box 01's stack, setting the angle to 45. This, for example, would be a way to get the bottom modifier on the stack, using the size of the modifier array itself as the index. Finally, I can index the modifiers array by name or text string like this. This is useful if the modifier name has spaces or other punctuation marks in it, or if there is a base object modifier with the same name as the modifier you want. The properties and methods common to all modifiers are detailed in the Modifier Common Properties topic in the MaxScript help. You can get at a modifier's name or control its enabled state, and there are methods for checking if a modifier is valid for a particular object, for deleting a modifier, for collapsing the stack, and so on.